Welcome everyone to this Kimai Supercard YouTube exclusive video, and I just want to talk about something I've had a lot of issues with recently, especially with Season 12 and Season 11 most prominently, and that is the downfall of LTEs, or limited time events, depending on what you prefer. For this video, I will just reference limited time events as LTEs to make it simple for people. But I just want to talk about them because I'm of a person who is a Season 2 player who has never taken a break from the game, and I have played every single season apart from Season 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 12, and I haven't seen a more downgrade in terms of progression in my life. And I'm not saying that in terms of the card stats and stuff, because getting a good deck now is super easy. It is so basic that you basically don't have to try. And compared to that, to the older seasons, where it's season 2, 3, 4, basically up to 6, where it was incredibly easy to in fact get a when it wasn't, I'm not going to say easy to get the best deck. It was okay, to get the best deck. It wasn't too difficult, so to speak, but it was a challenge. It felt rewarding that obviously, it is a better completion, and easier completion, better completion. Once you complete, you get to SummerSlam plus plus, Ultimate plus plus, SummerSlam 17 plus plus, stuff like that, very old school tiers. It felt extremely rewarding, and then obviously the season 10 issue came along, and it changed the old tier system as we knew it to the XP system, and the XP system caused a very hit and miss. Generally, of course, some people will say they love it, and they say that it's obviously the progression's a lot better, a lot easier. However, the older people that maybe was playing during these XP, no XP, when it was just purely based on deck, would say, well, it's actually a downgrade because now top 8 doesn't mean anything. When back in the day, it actually used to. And this is where we fall into the issues with the special editions and stuff. I could do numerous videos on the sheer amount of issues that come with this game currently with the current system, but alas, I'm not going to talk about all the issues. However, I will be referring to special editions quite a bit during this video as well, as inclusive of the LTEs. So if you, in case you don't know, this is done on the launch of this Danhausen, Toyboxhausen limited time event. It's just fresh off the Rears Riptide, which was a very hit and miss event in my opinion. It was a LT where it didn't really evoke gameplay, so to speak. It just was a claim bottom. And claim, open a pack, continue, open more packs, continue, open more packs, continue. Stuff like that. Maybe do a conversion if you need to. And now we fall into this, which I'll be referencing an LT called Titans, a lot during this whole thing. And the reason for that is because it is the same thing over again as Titans was. So so you get these Mattel action figures. I'll just do a quick rundown how you can actually complete this LTE and get this Danhausen special edition, which in my opinion actually looks quite cool. I do think it looks cool. But the way to get the cards is, in my opinion, extremely pathetic, and I'm just going to go and base these off odds on the odds that are shown in the store. So this is obviously one of the biggest downfalls with these LTs. Obviously, there has been, especially in season 12, you can look at every single LTE that there's been, Well, not all of them actually, most of them, where it is involved or invoked some form of requirement, whether that be equipment, points, milestone rewards, supports, stuff like that. Like in Riz Riptide, that's supposed to see happen. You needed the equipments. Now they were all given out for free. However, they also shouldn't need to do that, and it's because of the decisions that they make in the future. And you know, I know I waffle on and on and on about how, well, couldn't you just like, relax with it a bit? Couldn't you just say, give it a bit of time? And I think this just needs to be spoken about earlier rather than not. You got all these packs, bonus chance, 60, 35, and 5. It's actually worse than last year when it was 50, 40, and 10. Last year was Titan Titans. I'll just show the cards that they were. They're in my binder. I think it's like 53. I think it is that I'm in. No, it's not. I think it's actually a bit sooner than that. Do excuse the game for in a bit. As I keep talking about them. Nope. That is nope. So about the lag. You've actually just seen one of them there, Cody. When the game wants to. It does have a lot of cost to load up. I'll give it time. But this whole LTE that happened was a big old mess, in my opinion, where, there they are. It was these cards. These are Titans. The only one that you should know is AJ Styles. He was part of the Battle Pass. He was not involved. But you had all these cards, and you had the likes of Axiom, who was the big, the big 50%, Ivar 50%, and I don't think I've got the other one here. I think it was CM Punk was the other. It was a 50%, and maybe no, it was Steven Regal. Was the other one, and this caused a lot of issues for me in general. And I'm going to talk about the general downgrade of LTEs. I'm just gonna obviously speak about why Titans was bad, because it had no gameplay. This LT does not invoke any form of gameplay whatsoever. Like, for example, getting this Jacob Fatu. Okay, I have it as an F2. I think I packed it when it was in Mitz packs. But you had to get lucky in packs. Or do the collectibles and be like, well, the collectibles is a thing. But the actual LTE is nothing. Like, if I go on to the LTE, it's just this. Oh, I can have a look at my collection. Wow. There's no gameplay. There is nothing to it. Like, at least with, let's say, like a Samsung Rocks or a WrestleMania Forever, it had like an exchange system where you could exchange legacy cards or points or tokens or stuff like that. And it can actually be okay, because there is a little bit of gameplay. You were exchanging, you're putting a support in, you're actually doing stuff. Whereas this is 4 collectible events in a thing, and it's an LTE as an excuse. When this could have been a fusion event, this could have been just 4 separate promos without the need of the LTE branding to say it's special, even though it is a collab thing with Mattel. Like, the last fusion event we ever had was during Samsung Rocks, but even then, that wasn't even a fusion event, so to speak. The last actually proper fusion event when you gained special edition cards from it was actually in the summer of Unhinged, and that was the sort of water slide cards, the water park cards. I'll bring one of them up in Unhinged. These cards, and you had them, and they were a fusion event, and it was cool. Obviously. And they had the odd collectibles fan that came with it, and everything like that. It did not need an LTE. And then Titans comes around, just at the sort of end of this, and they do the same. There's no gameplay. And this is why I want to talk about the downfall of LTEs. in the sense of that the quality is down, the resources are bare minimal. Excuse the went on networks, and on top of that, the general thing with LTs is they are just rehashed from ones they did before. Like, for example, WrestleMania Forever was the exact same. Rhea's Riptide was basically just Abyss with 3 extra runs. With 3 runs that had different awards. Danhausen Toyboxhausen is a direct copy, except the support thing. That's a little bit of change, and the fact they got a limited edition instead of a foil card out of it. And then, and obviously this doesn't come to the issues of Season 10, this comes to Season 11 gameplay-wise. But the collection-wise, it was a little bit different. You had the toys compared to the Lexi cards. And, that was okay. But we fall into this problem now, where every LT is rehashed. Like, in SummerSlam, I'm probably going to predict SummerSlam not just going to appear straight away, and it's probably going to be the same. There's going to be some requirements. You're going to need to collect about 100 Legacy cards of a particular group, and you'll get probably awarded, and you'll get a limited edition for it. As well exchange using the guitar minigame and stuff. Which, it's gameplay, but it is dry. There is nothing to it. It's nothing you haven't seen before. Like, I go back to all the events of, this season, the LTEs. And one of the first ones I reviewed, and one of the only ones I actually reviewed, I think it might have been the only one, was Naughty on Ice. And that was infested with a serious bug that infected so many people, and it only got fixed on the last week when it was already too late to fix. And they did it. And, I talk about these LTs in the respect of, like, obviously, I don't think they should have existed in the first place, you with the Naughty and Ice, I didn't get Krampus. I was actually infected by the bug, and I didn't get Krampus because of it. I did get Santa, just about, but I was 7,776, whatever. And it was fine and all. I didn't really care. But I said the same problem where it's like, this should not have been allowed to happen in the first place. This should have been QA tested. And then we go to Rumble Tier. And Rumble Tier was the Royal Rumble event. Now, I will actually give the Royal Rumble mode a bit of credit, where it had a lot of gameplay. Was it the same gameplay as we've had before? Absolutely. It was just about 30 missions. 30, 40 missions, whatever number it was. And you had the Steve Austin, the Rey Mysterio, the Yokozuna, etc. These cards came, and then the final award was this Steve Austin. Just here, I do have the amount of criticism with the Royal Rumble Legacy cards that they barely gave us, but alas, and then you had the Then Now Forever and Together event, which was basically just an exchange system, and this exchange system was okay. They had some mini games to it that was okay. The pin to win and spin to win, I think it was, and for bonus stuff, and they were alright. But again, this also had very repetitive nature to it. It was very similar to basically just collecting 4 different sets of tokens and going from there. That's all it was just collect tokens, get milestones and stuff like that. Stuff that you could do without an LTE. And then you go to the WrestleMania LT, WrestleMania Forever. That returned. That didn't change. That was actually worse. And people say, well, they give them out for free? They give them out for free. I get they give them out for free. They shouldn't have, because they shouldn't have imposed modes such as Lights Out, Deal of Destiny, gambling-based game modes. In which, by the way, just so you're aware, if the thing from Mocko Live is true, Deal of Destiny's coming back. So have fun. But this is what I talk about, the lack of quality. Once again, it is rehash. It is stuff we have seen before. Beat the Oracle is rehash of the Street Fighter ranks. It both had tournament mode and some a bit different, and it is basically a direct copy to Dungeons and Dropkicks, but taboo. But a bit argumentative. The first bit of it, though, was awful. Because it was just a boring show. And this is why I've said they need to stop with LTEs. Please stop with them. And not because it's like, oh well, obviously they're gonna make money. And this is the argument I will always see from everyone, and I will address the argument now, which is that they do it because they're gonna get money and they're trying to optimize money. I get that. I'm not wrong. However, they will make money anyway. That is what Cat Daddy failed to realize. They will make money regardless of what they do, and it will be defended by people, whether that be in a 2K Discord, whether that be on, Twitter, whether that be other content creators or other people that speak on stuff like this. I am one of those who are anti-LT. I've made that very, very clear. I'm making this video to say I'm very anti-LT and I wish they were gone forever. I am, like I said, I'm an older player. I've played ever since. And I can tell you now, some Sandbox has appeared every year. A version of tournament mode has not appeared this season. However, I bet it will do towards the end as an LT because they've got nothing left. The only LT that I would say hasn't returned is Block Bash. And I say that because that has been in the game twice. And there's a frequent pattern. They don't make anything new. Like, the most new thing we've probably had was the Then Now Forever and Together event and Naughty on Ice. Naughty on Ice was a horrific event, and Then Now Forever and Together was okay. It wasn't bad. Like, was it really bad? No. Did it have some stupid elements to it? Yes. Did it have a event pass that was very unnecessary? Yes. Was it rewarding to get the cards? You can argue yes. Was the gameplay original and imaginative? No. And this is, again, the problem with LTEs in general. And, I will say LTEs can be okay. They can be. When they are thought out. When they're properly thought out, properly tested. However, we don't see that practically ever. And this is a direct say to Cat Daddy. Please start QA testing your stuff. And if you do QA test them more. I know you're on a time constraint. I get that. However, you need to start to QA test your stuff because bugs that shouldn't have happened, I'm looking at Naughty on Ice, should be either addressed, quick, or postponed. If it's postponed, we can understand. It is bugged. No one's something bugged on release. It's why, so many big things have been pushed back before. Or changed. Whether that was sort of like, you can look at other games in the industry. I shouldn't really compare to a AAA studio or a non-mobile game, but for example, like GTA 6, for example, that got postponed about 3 times because they were under development and they had obvious issues. This is the issue here, that they should be postponed if they are not fine. If they are not in immaculate working condition, they should be waited on. They should be postponed. They do not need to be there. You probably have other content that you can work on. If you've got deadlines to hit something, that is fine. But you don't need to make it an LTE. You can make it a fusion event. Happily. Like, these set of cards that we had, talking back to the housing event. I can go to some BCE, and I'll be able to find someone called Terry Taylor, or Rev Rooster. There he is. He was Terry Taylor at the time. This was a fusion event, by the way. Fusion. This didn't need to exist. Or you go back to some 23 per se, and you find this Bailey card. Basically the same idea, but the funny bit is, it was a fusion event. Do you know what's the difference? There doesn't need to be an LTE for this. For anything. They are a set of cards. You had collectible events for sets of cards before now. And they have. like you can look at even though it was a fusion event in hindsight, the summer 2024, no, sorry, summer 2025, the summer event, the fusion event, technically had collectibles in it for a fusion, and you work towards that. And for those who say, well, when it comes to LTEs, they bring a lot of variety in the game and they entice people to play. Do they? Because I've seen a lot of criticism across most LTEs, and that is because of decisions that they've made that has been made and isn't talked about, in my opinion, enough, really. Like, people are just quitting the game, and I'm not here to say, obviously, I don't have a big enough fan base for this, and I'm not saying slew Cat Daddy for everything they do when it comes to an LT. There are things about LTs that can be good, and that is when they are not rehashed, they're different, and they are rewarding to play, and they're actually fun. They are fun for a while. Until it gets extremely boring. I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you, Beat the Oracle. But we also need to take some accountability as a player base to say, obviously, you don't need an LT for everything. Every collection set doesn't need to be an LT. These Halloween Havoc cards, I look at specifically as something that did not need to exist as an LTE. Because they literally did the same thing in SummerSlam BC, and Arcane. In case you don't know what happened, SummerSlam BC, you had, let's say, a human version of Bron Breakker. Just as an example. You got to Arcane Tier, and you got Bron Breakker as a vampire. And it was fusions. And I know this is obviously a bit different now, the new fusion system. And stuff like that. However, you can make them a fusion event if you tried. You have pages for a reason. You can use them. And if that doesn't float your boat, that is fine. Obviously not everyone was in love with, these fusion events. And that's fine. However, I think, just speak from a player-based perspective. I don't speak for anyone, obviously. But, like I said, I speak for myself. But would it not be nice to have some fusion events at some points and LTEs in others? Like, I am not saying you can completely abolish the idea of LTEs, because I'm not saying that, because it can be cool. But having them every tier after, like having an LTE after an LTE after an LTE, we're about 5 LTEs past each other. I just want you to send that in. We've had about 5 TEs back to back to back to back to back to back without any issues. Like, from the Royal Rumble one, at the start of Rumble tier, all the way up to current. That is roughly what we've had. Maybe a little bit less, maybe more, maybe from then now forever together, all the way up to what we've currently got. But again, it needs to be raised up to say, you need to stop with these LTs, as they are just going to burn the player base out. And for those that say we'll just quit the game stuff, on my channel, and this is what I'm doing as something forward. On my channel, of course, I do stream on TikTok and Twitch, and stuff. I am doing other games. I am streaming Supercard for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And even then, in my current state, I'm not enjoying the game. I'm just not enjoying the game. I am still a collector and stuff, despite I've basically got nothing from this tier regarding the SEs. I'm still a collector. Everything, don't get me wrong. However, I do also want to recognise that the game is dry. And there isn't much going on. This LT really doesn't help. And it actually proves my saying when I say they put no effort in. Because it is effortless. There is nothing to it. Where you have this LTE, which is just Titans and Titans 2.0. They've not changed anything. It's the same. No gameplay. No fun to it. It just requires you to get these cards by luck, by the way. to get them. And I think there is a time for LTEs to be around. There's also a time for LTEs to not be around. This one of them. And like I said, I do not want any form of harassment or anything like that towards Cat Daddy and anything. I know people say, well, this guy's just a crybaby and he needs to stop, and that's fine. But I will say this. If you are not happy about the game, just speak out on it. Whether that be through Discord, and people will probably join you. And there's always a common link where there's things that shouldn't need to be addressed, but they have to be because of a lack of reason. But alas, I'm going to leave it there. If you want to see more videos discussing my opinions on the states of the game and stuff, feel free to let me know in the comments. Also, let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think LTEs are a good thing? Do you think they're a bad thing? Are you neutral with them? Do you think they could replace them? Do you think that there is an alternative that they maybe never thought of before now? Or do you think that they are just a waste of resource? So, like I said, have a discussion in the comments, of course. Feel free to follow me on TikTok. Feel free to follow me on Twitch. All at my Supercard. Of course, subscribe to the channel as well if you're new and you liked what you see, and whether you agree with anything I say. Of course, feel free to drop a like and everything like that. If you did like what you see, and feel free to have a discussion in the comments. It'll be very interesting to hear your opinions. And everything like that. And if you want to see more videos about me sort of in this sort of chilled environment, talking about state of the game or previous stuff with the game, or if there's any videos you actually want to see by me, then always do let me know. But anyway, this has been Kim My Supercard, and a goodbye.